It's 10:03. Wow, really running late on Friday, which I think is actually Freya Day. Many of our days are named after Norse gods, like Thor's Day and Woden's Day and Freya Day. And then, well, that's three of them anyway. Saturday is named after Saturn, obviously, and Sunday probably named after the sun. Not know what Monday is. What is Monday? It's, for people who have Monday through Friday jobs, it's like, oh, back to work. I really love my job. Yay. Or in this case, it's, time to do relaxing something. Usually not painting. Sorry, I'm just fixing something here. There. But today is Friday. And for those who have a Monday through Friday job, this is the end of your work week and you get a couple of days off. For those of you who don't and work on weekends too, then it doesn't have the same feeling. But I've been, I don't know, really tired this week. So we'll see how things go today. This is done. I have completely finished the Star Trek. I should get the box top out. I'm not prepared. Here, let me wander off camera again. Yeah, I have finished this Star Trek USS Enterprise Command Bridge model kit, also in French. The 25th anniversary. It comes with this sticker. 1991 was the 25th anniversary. 1991 is, holy cow, 34 years ago. Well, it shows you how old I am because the 25th anniversary was 34 years ago, and I saw the original Star Trek when I was probably like in 6th grade, maybe. Yeah, so 35 and 25, 60. Yep. So you can tell that I am 70 plus years old just because of how old the 25th anniversary sticker is. And if you do arithmetic, like adding numbers together, they come up to a surprisingly high value. But yes, so this model kit actually is a vintage kit that was made, I believe, in 1991, because that's, the anniversary. And for $12, $11.95, you could send a check. You could send a check to the official fan club. There was join the official Star Trek registered trademark fan club in 1991 for $11.95. And then in 6 to 8 weeks, you have something delivered. And it doesn't say what it would be. Even if I look at the back of this, no, it's just blank. So for $12 in 1991 money, which is what, like $30 now? Maybe 40? That was pretty expensive. Yeah, you could have joined the official Star Trek fan club and gotten something in 6 to 8 weeks but it would be official. I don't know if that even exists anymore. maybe I could mail something to the official fan club at box 111000 in Aurora, Colorado, and see if anything comes of it. But even if it didn't, I've got this really cool Star Trek 25th anniversary sticker that I could stick on something. So this model actually came out looking kind of like this. I want to show it to you before I move on to working back on the Lotus Ford. I'm going to be doing everything I can today to not do anything. I'm going to try really hard to not get anything done today, because, well, when I get to the Lotus Ford, I'll explain why it is that I had to abandon it and build this in the interim, and why I'm kind of anxious about getting back to it, because I don't know how it's going to go. But this model kit, you can tell from the cover art, just how amazingly realistic it is. The model is more realistic than the cover art because it's a, plastic 3-dimensional kind of thing. But there it is. And these 3 figures are there, and I'll explain what happened to those in the construction process. Here are some outtakes from Star Trek. It looks like it was sort of in color. I don't know why these are so faded, but they just really are. But there they are, faded photos, stills of Star Trek. That's it. So under here is the model. I could subscribe to the Blueprinter. I could subscribe. No kidding. They wanted $8 a year back in 1991. They wanted you to pay $8 a year in 1991 to get basically ads. New AMT releases, classified ads, shows and events, and special offers on AMT kits. You only get 6 of these a year for $8 way back in 1991. You get 6 issues a year, which basically they even tell you are ads. And they want to know your gender and age. I do not know anyone would do that. There it is. So I'm going to keep this because, it's a collectible now. It's worth less, but that's what it is. So this is it, the final assembly, which means the end. It's final means that it's going to be done. And the final assembly is going to be putting the figures of Spock, Sulu, and what they claim to be Kirk, but he's definitely not Kirk, doesn't look anything like Kirk. I'm going to put those into the thing here. It says location is optional, except for Kirk. Kirk goes to the chair, to chair. Kirk to chair, otherwise location optional. That almost makes it sound like it's optional whether they even have a location. Yeah. Well, you'll see that these stand up because they're on stands, and you'll see that the Kirk figure, the not Kirk figure, doesn't really sit in the chair very well because it's just very poorly made. Oh, there. This is final. Got paper towels over it to protect it from, dirt and things. There. So it turns out that actually these are workstations here. There should be people should be sitting there like that in these chairs, because I can tell that from this picture. This picture here, where the captain is sitting in the big captain chair, and then there's two people at the workstation up there, doing whatever you do with all these little colored buttons and things. There. There's there it is. And that's not even a bad camera angle. How about that? I moved the camera with the paper towels above it, so covering it, so I didn't know what I was going to get. So after much discussion online with two people who were in chat, I did decide that the figures are going to be evil. So there was an episode, probably more than one, but there was an episode where there was an alternate universe where the crew of the Enterprise basically were bad people. And you could tell they were bad because they had like facial hair or a scar, something like that. And they were mean to each other. And if I recall correctly, the crews kind of got switched. And Kirk pulled it off. Kirk was able to emulate the evil Kirk really quite well, whereas the other players didn't. And they were identified and captured. But that said something. So I decided, yes, why not? Why not have fun with these characters? Because they were poorly constructed. Not constructed, they were poorly molded. Their heads were highly detailed but somewhat inaccurate. So yeah, here's goateed Spock. You can always tell if someone's evil if they've got a goatee. Yeah, there he is, just standing there. So location optional. I don't know where the science. Let's say he's standing here. Why not? And here's Evil Sulu. Evil Sulu had scars. It was hard to get scars to be, not necessarily hard to paint something that would be a scar kind of thing, but it was hard to get them to show up so you could actually see them. So there's Sulu. You can tell they're evil because of the goatee and the scars, but also because instead of white stripes on their sleeves, they're red, and the badge, instead of being outlined in black, is outlined in red. The evil red color. Maybe Sulu is down here, confronting the chair. The not Kirk figure doesn't look like Kirk. I don't know what it looks like in the show. In that particular episode, the Kirk figure didn't. I think just wore like a sash or something. I don't know. Shatner must have refused to grow facial hair. So I just made something up. So the not Kirk captain figure has has an evil beard. You know, you can tell it's evil beard because it doesn't quite come together in the middle. Okay, that's the mustache. It doesn't quite come together under his nose, and then the beard goes up on the side of his face like that, and kind of curls around in a in an evil way. So these are the evil crew. And like I said, it doesn't sit well in the chair. You know, just doesn't fit. Kind of like that. It's not too bad. So that was the final assembly. The very, very final assembly was the optional location of the figures. And, the chairs. So it's done now. There's nothing else that can be done with this other than covering it up again and setting it aside and waiting for it to get dusty and fall apart and be tossed at some point. That's what happened to all the models I built when I was a kid, is they all just ended up getting dusty and got tossed. None of them survived. My mom was really good at getting rid of stuff. But there it is. There it is. And I think it came out, pretty well. Here, let me do a camera thing. I'll zoom down, maybe pan the elevator. The weapons station. There's the main view screen. Show you what's on there. There's kind of a red planet. Evil Not Kirk. Whatever those do, communications and navigation, I think, are what those are. I've only used up half an hour of Friday. So I get to, what I do get to do though is I get to stand up and wander off screen anyway, and put this back on the shelf and cover it with paper towels again. And that's it. So you get to say goodbye to the Star Trek USS Enterprise Command Bridge 25th Anniversary Special Edition. Ready? Here I go. Hopefully carrying it without tripping on something and dropping it. That would be kind of sad if that were to happen. I even moved some boxes out of the way so I wouldn't trip on them on my way over to the shelf. Set it down. Now I'm going to successfully cover it in paper towels. Put the instructions and the special sticker over with it too. What I'm going to be bringing back with me I'll show you what I'm up against here. It's been a long time since anybody saw this. I was working on this for a good long time before I started working on the Enterprise Command Bridge. This is supposed to be, but isn't quite, a model of the car that won the 1965 Indianapolis 500, and it was a big deal because it represented a significant change in the kind of cars that ran in the race. This is actually the real car. It's in Dearborn, Michigan, and I was there, and long enough ago that the Polaroid camera, I mean, this is a real Polaroid camera picture. It was long enough ago that this was still working, this camera, and there was still film available. And I took a picture of the real car, which I was using to help guide me in putting this model together. This is also a picture of how the car was, what it kind of looked like. And the model kind of looks like this. I mean, kind of. You'll see in a while. This is the right side of the car, and this is the left side of the car. And the reason I have these pictures in particular is because what needs to be done to the car is all these sponsorship. I mean, the Lotus Powered by Ford thing needs to go on, and all these sponsorship decals need to be applied on both sides of the car, and they're different on either side. You know, they're not lined up the same way. It's just they weren't really carefully put on back in the day. They were just stuck on. So you can see things, for example, if I can get the camera right. Okay. Like on one side of the car, in front of the 82 is the oval, the white oval with a little red. On the other side of the car, it's way back here. Okay. And then the blue and red kind of thing here is up to the right, just right next to the 82, and over here it's down. Like the perfect circle is behind it, or in front of it in this case, and here it's behind it. And so, yeah, they're just located. You can even see that, like here, the perfect circle was actually put on top of the yellow stripe. About the only thing that's consistent is the Lotus Powered by Ford yellow stripe and the wording, and the Enco Tiger, which is back here. The Enco oval with the tiger. So the decals that came with the kit, this is good. I'm going to spend a lot of time wasting time, not really wasting time, but using up time not putting decals on, because I want to tell the story of the decals and the car. Because I haven't had this model out for some time, and unless you go back and watch some of the old YouTubes of me getting to this point of construction, you wouldn't know the story of how challenging this model was. So one challenge is that virtually all the parts were chrome plated. Okay. And if you look at pictures of the car, real pictures of the real car, nothing's chrome plated. They didn't chrome plate things. They were polished aluminum, maybe, like the wheels and the roll bar and things. It's just like, really. But whoever did this model, whoever created the model, decided everything would be chrome plated. And here's a picture of a supposedly completed model. And you can see all the shiny chrome plating. So one thing I ended up doing is, in most cases, like sanding down the chrome plating and priming it and painting it various shades of aluminum. Here in this box is the car as it exists, and so you can see it's not chrome plated, it's aluminum. So some other things that were very badly done on this model, some things that were very badly done, is this model is actually the 1964 car. It really is. It's the 1964 car that they kind of updated with some add-ons, sort of, to make it look like the 65 car. So I think what happened was that testers had a model of a Lotus Ford showing the 1964 car, and they said, well, we'll just change the number. So some things that were definitely wrong, are, first of all, and very importantly, the exhaust was not chrome plated. Absolutely, positively, 100% not chrome plated. It was flat yellow. And so my model has a flat yellow exhaust. There's chrome plating underneath that, so there's several layers of paint on top of that to make it look that way. The other is that these velocity stacks on the engine, the air intakes, were exposed on the 1964 model, but on the 1965 model were covered. And when I got this model, I looked at it and said, oh, that's not good. I'm going to have to fabricate those covers. But they did, in fact, include the covers in the kit. These were also chrome plated, seriously. And when this is finally put together, that's going to go over these, okay? Which is just as well, because the velocity stacks, you can see they don't line up. They're not the same size. Each one is different. They were very poorly made. So those are going to get covered up with these air intake covers. What I wasn't able to do, I'm a little bit sad about that, is that the front of the covers here had an aluminum screen over it to keep dirt from getting in. Like, not fine particulate dirts, but chunks of dirt, like pieces of tire and stuff like that. And I tried to fabricate those, but I wasn't able to. I just couldn't do it. A skilled modeler would be able to make those happen, but I wasn't able to. Another thing about the model is that, I mean, if you can see this, the model on the box top, the seat is green with a yellow stripe. Okay, that is not the seat from the 1965 car. I don't even think it was the seat from the 1964 car, really. The seat was red, and it had like black pads on it, and I was like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make it look that way? So I thought about just painting it red with little black spots, but then I noticed that the chassis, the body of the car, actually had the correct top of the seat molded in. Okay, so that is not part of the seat model. The model that came with it, that's molded in to this part of the chassis. And the way the model was intended to be the way the model was intended to be constructed is that the back of the seat covered that, like this, see? But that's incorrect. It isn't how the model was, the real seat was. And so what I did was I cut off the top of the seat and thinned out this part so it was really like a third as thick as it was before, and glued the back of the seat to that so that it looks the way the real seat should look. I was really, really happy to see this molded in, because that's exactly how the seat is supposed to look, with a red bolster in the middle and black bolsters on either side. So somehow or other, the people who made this model knew that they were getting it wrong, and molded that in, but they didn't create any way to actually make it happen, you know. But I took some time and I managed to do that. The other thing you can see in the model here is that they've got the steering wheel black. It wasn't. The steering wheel is red. And so the steering wheel in my car is red the way it's supposed to be, as is the dashboard. The dashboard is red as well. So I took some time and I painted the stripe on rather than using the decals, because the decals that came with the kit. Hi. Yeah, it's back. Oh, you missed. You're going to have to go back and watch the YouTube, because I showed the final construction of the Enterprise bridge. I think what I'll do, since you just joined in and you missed that, is I'm going to go back and show you the figures. I got the evil figures painted, and they turned out to look pretty good. So I'll bring the figures back out, maybe. So this, it says Lotus powered by Ford across the front. That is not how the 1965 car was done. Definitely not. This is the 64 car, and that's how the decals are made for this particular model. So when I painted it, the alternate decal set came with the correct decal, which is a little lotus symbol that goes in the middle up there. So this model is in many ways not at all correct, and in some ways I was able to fix it. One thing I couldn't change, like I was able to paint this yellow, and I was able to get the nose stripe not saying Lotus powered by Ford. Okay, I was able to do that, but the nose is also incorrect, and I wasn't able to fix that. This is the 64 nose. It comes more to a point. The 1965 car was broader. It was like 15% wider on the front and a little bit narrower top to bottom. That was all I could do with it. So that's kind of the story of how this car got to where it is. Now, what happened was that, okay, the decal set for the side of the car also is incorrect. See if I can pull it out. So the decals that came with the car, this is for the nose. It says Lotus powered by Ford. This is supposed to go onto the front of this and wrap around. But these are the sponsorship decals, okay? And they are not anywhere close to being correct. I mean, not at all. Not even close to being correct for the 1965 car, as you can see. Okay. And so they're knowing that the decal set is totally wrong. There's an aftermarket that sells decal sets, and this is one that I bought shortly after I bought the kit in the 1990s, and this is correct. Okay, or at least pretty close to being correct. You know, if you look at this, okay, I mean, that really is very, very close to being correct. So what I thought when I thought, well, this is going to be simple. Okay, it's one big decal that is pretty much accurate, not only in terms of what's presented, but even where it's located on the car. And so I thought, well, just like the other one, it would just be one big decal, right? I thought that would be it. There would be one big decal. I would wet it down and slide it onto the side of the car. Just slide it onto the side of the car, and it would be done. I'd get out the wrinkles and that sort of thing. But that isn't what this is. What happened was it was just an absolute total disaster. Is that each one of these little items, each one of them, including the Stripe and the Lotus powered by Ford, Lotus powered by and Ford, they all came off as separate items. And so when they started to slide off, it was absolutely horrible. As I started to slide it off, just trying to put this one giant set of decal, this like one decal into place, it disintegrated. They all just started sliding off all over the place. And I tried to recover it. I tried to set them up, but the Stripe bent. Ford, I lost the Ford. It folded over on itself. I couldn't unfold it. A couple of them, so I essentially erased it. I erased it from the side of the car. And the decal was gone. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? What I was able to do was I found out that the people who made this, I bought these seriously, I bought them way back in 2003. They're 20 plus years old. The place is still in business, and they're still making them. And I was able to order, this time I ordered two sets of decals, so that if I messed up again, I'd have extras. It was kind of interesting. This was, in the middle of the summer, and I found their website, and they're still making the decals, but they had taken the entire summer off, and they wouldn't be back until September. And so I wasn't able to place the order until the beginning of September, and then it came in like October. But by then I had already committed to the Star Trek thing. So somewhere in here, oh no, here are replacement historically correct decals. Yeah, and they look the same, except actually the colors are. They don't look the same, really. It's interesting. They got the colors slightly wrong. Look at the colors here. They're a little bigger and brighter. These are better. The old ones are better than the new ones. They just are. They're sharper. The colors were more accurate. No, actually, this is more accurate, the shape of this. You can't see what I'm talking about. This is the old one. This is the new one. So I don't know. I don't know how this is done. I'm going to guess. I'm going to make the assumption that each one of these is a separate decal, and that they're just going to slide off of this one at a time, just like the other ones did. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to go. So yeah, at some point I'm going to get brave. At some point I will be brave, and I will attempt to put these decals onto the side of the car. What can I do other than try? So one more thing before I decide whether to try to do anything today or not is, like I have to show this to you because it's just so bizarre. Is not only was the model in so many ways incorrect, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. In several ways, they were able to correct that, okay, by molding the correct back of the seat into a part that wasn't part of the seat, or by adding these covers to the kit at some later date. Okay. In some ways, they couldn't fix it, but like I said, everything was chrome plated where hardly anything on the car actually was. The chrome plating is just a terrible thing to do for a model, really, because they're on the sprue, and when you take them off the sprue, the part that was attached doesn't have chrome plating on it. And if it shows, and sometimes it does, it's like, what can you do about it? That's a problem with some of the car models, where you get chrome bumpers and things like that. And you take them off and they don't quite fit. And then there's a spot where it's attached to the sprue where the chrome plating doesn't show. Anyway, it's just difficult. But there's a driver figure that comes with the car. Seriously, there was a driver figure that comes with the car. And the driver figure is chrome plated. And it's incredibly badly molded. Just horrible. And I'm going to show it because it was so bizarre and weird that I thought, I'm actually going to put it together. I'm actually going to do it. And this is it. This is the driver figure that comes with the car. Okay. It's very shiny. Very, very shiny. It's in two halves. So it's got a seam, that you can see because the parts don't fit exactly right. There's a seam right down the helmet. And they couldn't figure out how to mold the legs. And so they come together, and there's like 2 half feet. And you're supposed to actually put this in the car. And I don't know, it's just really, really weird. The face comes to a point. You can't see it because it's just too shiny. Chest is all sunken in. The legs are badly, it's just so weird. But I had to put it together just because it was there. So that's the story of the Lotus Ford, and you can see there's parts that aren't attached yet. Some rear suspension parts, the side mirrors on the car here, those aren't attached because they would get in the way of putting on the decals. And so the decals go on, and then those parts get attached. So there is quite a lot of work that needs to be done to this yet, in addition to getting the decals on. I'm going to, before diving into this, the experience with the decals was so awful, that I'm really reluctant to try again. Like, I don't know if I can do this, but I mean, it has to be done. Otherwise, the car is not complete. It would look okay, I guess, without them. Okay, I could probably put like the 82 on it. I could, on the side, maybe even get the Lotus powered by Ford on there. Maybe I could do that. But yeah. So unfortunately, you can see there's just issues like this. This has a seam. The top and bottom parts of the car were molded separately, and so there's a seam right here where the Lotus powered by Ford is supposed to go. You can see this riveted bit was actually put on, and the Enco Tiger was up here, but it's not. It's just not even. It's really, that's going to be a challenge too, is to get those things on. I think what I was thinking of putting the Lotus powered by Ford on first. Yeah, the Enco Tiger is supposed to go up here in front of the roll bar and up on top of the Lotus powered by Ford, which is supposed to go right along the seam. How big is the Enco Tiger anyway? Pretty big. Put it right up on. I might have to put that on first. And it's a pretty prominent sponsorship. I might have to put that on first so that I can get it like located here and somehow get it to go into the seam, because it's going to go in that. It's not. This model is so frustrating. And the Lotus powered by Ford pretty much just goes like right in the seam here. Okay, what it looks like, what I should have done. Oh, seriously, what I should have done was I should have filled that in and sanded it down so that it was seamless. I can't do that now. I mean, it's just, it can't be done. But looking at it now, that probably should have been what I should have done. So there's going to have to be some compromises in the location of these decals. Okay. So in this set, the Enco oval and the Tiger are two separate things. Yeah, and it's even on in a different location on the other side of the car, and I have to attach that bit. That's an ignition, electronic ignition that's stuck on the outside of the car. Okay, well, this is going to be more difficult than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be pretty difficult. So there, we'll see how it all goes. But I'm going to take a quick break. I'm just going to keep this on camera, and I'll even leave Silver Guy out. Get Silver Guy while I take a quick break, and I will be back probably in like 5 minutes or so. Be right back. Okay, well, you can't hear it because the filter on the microphone filters out all the sounds except for a voice, and it was just one of the dogs was just barking, going, what is this? I went up to just to find out. Yeah, this sure looks like it would come off as like one piece, but even if it did, that's not how I'm going to put it on because it wouldn't fit right, given how this model is mangled, kind of. At some point, I'm just going to have to get on with it and put things on, right? It's just going to have to happen. Yeah. So this is the left side of the car. It's almost, but not a perfect representation of the decals, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to have to very, very carefully cut these out. They're very close together. Given the seam here. I'm going to do is just cut these down to size a little bit. I want to see how they how they fit or don't fit. Start by getting the side I'm working on. This is the Lotus insignia. This is that. And this is better done because it's yellow with the green. This one was a white outline, so this is more accurate, but I'm not going to replace that. I keep wanting to not break this. Oh, I almost broke the steering wheel off. Just don't touch. I have to be careful where I touch things. So if I put the Lotus powered by Ford, cut that off. The Enco Tiger needs to be put on very, very separately anyway. It didn't hurt it. These guys go on separately. I want to see where this lines up. Touch these things. See, that's why I didn't attach the other stuff, is because yeah, I mean that goes. If I line that up just underneath the seam, okay, it'll be just about right. Now on the other decal set, each one of these components came off as a separate decal. So the stripe came off, and then Lotus came off, Powered by came off, Ford came off, and the stripe came off, all as separate items. And I don't know how this one is going to go. I mean, for all I know, this is like one, and it would be great if it was. This would just be one big decal, and the whole thing would slide off. and I would position it just like I was thinking I would do it originally with the other one, and it would just fit there. It would actually look pretty good if that's what happened. But I just don't know. That was the shock. That was the shock of the other one, is that each of these came off individually. In theory, this whole thing is decal. The whole thing would slide off, and I would but I don't want to ruin a whole decal sheet just to experiment with. I'm going to do this. Okay. I don't know how these are made. So what I'm going to do is take their logo, what I know is that they'll fit, and I can get it on there. Putting the Enco Tiger on will be challenging, but I can get this just below the seam that isn't supposed to be there. Okay, I can get it on there, just there, and it'll look okay. It'll be like right across the seam. But what I don't know is whether this is going to be like the original decals that I had that disintegrated into all sorts of individual ones, or whether it's like one gigantic sheet and the whole thing will come off. In some ways, it shouldn't much matter, actually. If it is one gigantic sheet and I extremely carefully separate each of the parts, okay, if I do that, it would be the same as if they all fell apart to begin with. But I would really like to know what I'm getting into here. So I'm going to moisten this, and I want to see how it slides off. This might be like one big decal thing. The whole thing will come off, or it might just be like individual little bits coming off. I don't know what's going to happen. So, I'm going to get it wet. I'm not going to let it just soak in there. I'm going to use the same technique I used for the decals for the Enterprise bridge, which is, to get it kind of wet, but then use a wet paper towel and let it sit on that. It needs to get out of the way. If it's here, there's a really good chance it could be a mess. Yeah, I'm getting it all wet now. Great. I'm going to move the camera up there. So I'm just sitting this on a wet paper towel, and it'll soak it from the back. And this is just a much safer way than letting it float in the water. And then who knows how it will come off. Sometimes they float off the paper backing and fold up on themselves, and this becomes quite a disaster. So my experience with this before was that these all come off as separate little bits. but it's not. Look at that. It's the whole thing. The whole thing is... And so this is actually made the way I thought the other one was. Yeah, see? Look, the whole thing is sliding. Which tells me that I can slide that entire thing off onto the car. That if that is the case, that I can slide that whole thing off onto the car and position it, and everything will be where it should be. Oh my, I hope that's true. But look, see? So that's why they say trim it as close as you can, because the whole thing is a decal. Well, this is my experience. It's not coming off as little parts like the other one did. So I'm going to treat it that way and hope. That's why I bought two, right? So the thing that happens when it's one piece like this, okay, let me just talk about these, is that, okay, when it's one big piece like this, and this is what the instructions that came with it said, that unlike other decals, okay, the whole thing is just one decal. And so you want to trim it as close to the edge as possible so that the shiny bit, the decal plastic, whatever it is, backing, doesn't show. You want it, as little of that to show as possible. And that's true. I do want as little of that to show as possible. So assuming that what I have here is in fact one giant decal, if not, it will be a problem. Okay, is I am going to trim this as close as possible to the painted area. To minimize the amount of decal material that shows. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, a couple of bits separately. As I go. So there. Okay, so it's trimmed along the top pretty well. And these are all really close to each other, okay, except right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two off and deal with them separately so that I don't have a big chunk of decal material right back here in an awkward place. And I'll be very, very carefully trimming these later. I want to be as close as possible. Too bad I'm Wish I could see better here. Be really close to that yellow line. Really, really hope this is just one decal. I hope I am not making a huge mistake. Be finding out. But my test showed that this is just one decal, which is why I tested it. This is a little hard to see. I definitely do not want to cut into the white. Okay. If this comes off as one piece, okay, there's this one piece decal. If that is, in fact, what this is, this will be okay. I mean, I'll just slide it on so that show you what I'm hoping will happen. Okay. Clean this up. I was really surprised that this is how it is. That it's just one piece. Okay. So what should happen with this, if I turn this car over, which I could set it on its side somehow, but I can't, is that this is going to go right there, right at the bottom, right at the bottom of that seam. That has to be open. The piece goes there, but right there, so that this decal, see the square on the lower left? I want that on the, so it's just on the inside of the, so it doesn't touch the suspension part. No, just I'm messing up the windshield. Nice. And then if I do that, the yellow stripe goes just, they just wrap around where that goes. That's good. So this will fit actually really well if it behaves like it is purported to behave. Just a little bit of okay. Well, nothing to be done other than to do this. So I've got this wet paper towel here, and I've got this InDecal that is still acting like a single decal, okay, like it says it would, and I've got this nicely trimmed, and it needs to get very, very wet, and hopefully this will also be what I thought the one was that failed, which is a single decal. It's like one giant decal. And that I will be able to slide this whole thing off, all of it intact, just like this, into place. And it is behaving. Yeah, it is behaving as though it is just one decal. Sliding it off, it's going to be an issue, isn't it? Especially these little stripy bits. Yeah, but it's all moving. And I want. It's going to go. I wish there was some way to support this. This to be wet. Yeah, that worked, didn't it? Not. Your box that isn't going to move. Here, I'll use this that I just pushed aside. This has got stuff in it, so it's heavier. There, that's better. bit up higher. That actually, it's actually not too bad, is it? Oh, to move. Okay, well, it's not bad. So it's not there. That's the hole for the suspension part here. Right there. Looks okay. I mean, it looks like it's a decal, but those are decals in real life. It's pretty straight compared to the seam. It's a little bit low. I'd like it a little bit higher, but I'd have to move the whole decal. Okay, I'm going to declare this as good as it's going to get. There. At least it's historically correct. Okay. And hopefully it will stay on. Hopefully it will stay on. I'm going to not touch this. There's just a bump there. I said I'm not going to touch it, and now I'm touching it. Okay, and then this is going to go over this like this. That's perfectly fine. And if the suspension part bumps into the decal a little bit here, that'll be okay. It still wants to wiggle. I need to just let it rest. Okay, I'm not going to put on the other side right now. I'll explain why. The thing is that needs to set. Okay. And if I do the other side, I'll be touching it. And if I touch it, it's going to move. And if it moves, it's going to be a mess. What I do need to do is somehow get a tiger on here. This is going to have to go This is going to have to go into an historically incorrect location. Oh, wait. There were a couple of others I cut off, didn't I? Where did they go? Oh, it's Enco. I took two of them off because I was going to put them on separately. And did I lose them? The Enco Tiger. Yeah, I just remembered I took two of the decals, sponsorship decals. These two back here because they didn't fit right. Good grief, what did I do with them? I've got another set, thankfully, but okay. Well, I'm glad I remembered that because I'm not done with this side yet. So I've got two more decals that need to go on. Sponsorship decals. There they are. They just got pushed way aside. And these go. It's back here like this. These go here. And I'm going to put them on individually. I know that sounds kind of extreme, but they're not going to fit very well. They need to be closer together than they are on this just because of the riveting is. Good grief, I almost forgot about these. That actually would have not been good. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to, this is going to go right really close here. And then the bear, which is upside down, I'm going to try to fit kind of over the seam there, over the rivets. I'm going to do this. I'm going to slide it partially off. You can't see what I'm doing here. There. I'm sliding it partially off the paper, grabbing the paper with the tweezers. Okay. And then using a toothpick to slide it off to the model. This bear, where am I going to put the bear? The problem is that the bear is going right over the rivets. I'm going to actually put it up higher. I'm going to put it up here. This over a little bit. And then I'm going to put it up here. So it's out of the way of the rivets. It's not in the correct spot exactly. It's a little bit too far back, but it's just how it's going to have to fit. Otherwise, it's on the rivets and it'll look terrible. In some ways, this was actually a pleasant surprise in that it was just a single decal sheet. Like I thought the original one was. Maybe the original one was a single decal sheet and it was just so old, because it was, by the time I was using it, it was 20 years old, that it fell apart. I don't know. The Enco Tiger, I'm going to have to put in a slightly incorrect location to make it work. I get the bear on here first, and then I'll worry about that. Wish my left hand would work. Up here. Really hard to see, isn't it? Would have been better if you printed the bear in white ink instead of black ink. But that's what you did. Just nestling it down in here between these lines. Where the suspension part goes there. That's pretty much the only place it'll go. So slightly inaccurate, but it's the best I can do. Let me see what I can do with the Enco Tiger. I think I'm going to have to do the oval and the tiger separately. I'm going to cut these, not trim them all the way, but just cut them down enough so I can look at my proposed location and see if it'll work. It's going to go there, so I can get the Enco there. And get the Enco here just under the roll bar and put the Tiger back here just under this. And it won't be exactly correct, but it'll be not bad. But that's the only way I can get it on here. Too bad about the bear. It's becoming invisible like that. So if I get these on successfully, the Enco, that's their primary sponsor, obviously it gets a tiger, and it has a decal up on the nose. I can't do the other side yet. I just can't, because it will involve touching this, and I can tell that touching these decals even a little bit could very well move them. They're going to be sensitive to touch anyway as I finish the assembly. It's going to be bad enough. So the location, like I said, the location of the Enco here is not going to be historically accurate because of the riveting that's on the model. Not that the model is riveting, okay, in that kind of sense of the word, but in the sense of obstructions. I'm trying to get it to, I want to brace it because this decal has to go like right here under the windshield, not over the roll bar, but like right there. I can't even see what I'm doing here. Tiger's going to have to go back. Tiger's going to have to go back here. I'd like to be able to, I wonder if I can. Can I get it under the roll bar? Just enough room for that. No, really. Thought maybe I could get it under here, but there's just want it off of those rivets because then it doesn't lay flat. Yeah, on the model, it's way up in front here. It's right here, but it's right over the rivet line, and those are raised up, and they just mess up the decal. Back here. Yeah, that works. Yes. Okay, that's where it's going to be. See what I can do with the tiger. Hi, Aman. Thanks for dropping in. Yes. Actually, one of our party has this D20 that lights up. It's got like an LED light on the inside. It's pretty amazing. But the last session that we recorded were about 8 different dice rolls, and nobody in the party rolled higher than a single digit on any of their rolls. Fortunately, they were things like, perceptions and persuasions and things like that that weren't death-defying, right? They weren't essential to keep a person alive or battling a monster or something, but it just became hilarious. What did you get? I got a 5. What did you get? I got a 2. It was just that kind of thing. I wasn't watching the chat screen because I'm trying to get these decals on, and it's a little bit. No, they exploded. So you got like shards of glass everywhere. Hope you didn't get hurt, like get cuts or something cleaning up. Yeah. No, nine, not at just on a D20. Yeah, the best roll was a 9. It was just, kind of typical for us. Sometimes it's just how it goes. We are, I am, my character especially, also Ralph, is famous for like really bad dice rolls, just horrible. Can't even say death defying. It's like deadly. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna die now because of your dice. Okay, so the tiger, there's a bump here, which is like a latch or something. So the tiger's gonna go right here underneath this air intake scoop, just above the yellow line, but then on this side of the bump. Otherwise, these decals are they're going okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, that is true about our D&D campaign. Our show is that if you came for the action, it would, oh, I swing my flaming longsword and look, I'm threatening you by swishing it in the air. Oh, good. They were at least inside the lamp casing, so you had to clean it out that way. And I hope your game goes well on Monday. Keep piling things up and then leaving them very much in the way. Just the opposite of my New Year's resolution to keep a clean work surface. That is a resolution that is going to be repeated this year because I have failed miserably in that resolution of keeping my work area clear and clean. Just as I go along, it continuously gets more and more cluttered. There's the tiger. Just need to orient it and get. This is just temporarily on here. I just wanted to make sure. I want it just to the right of that bump, right down at the level of the stripe. And like I said, it's not historically accurate location, but it's really the only place I can put it where it will look okay. Because I have to avoid the rivet lines as much as I can. think that looks good. Okay. That's just going to sit there like that now. So what I've got is the decal, the sponsorship decals on one side of the car, and they are not perfect because the car itself is not perfect. Okay, it just isn't. There's a seam on it that shouldn't be there. There's rivet marks that should be there, but they're kind of in the wrong places. The windshield became detached. I have to push that back into place. But that side of the car, let me come down on it so you can see it. That side of the car is done. And what happens now is that I can't do the other side until these set, because if I touch them, they could move and get bent or go out of place, and then moving them back becomes a real challenge, becomes like really hard to do. So I'm going to let it sit on its side like this for just a bit. But before I finish today, I'm going to set it down and put it back in the box. No. Oh, no. So they were trapped in... You know, they were... Okay, the broken light bulb, broken shards were inside. They didn't explode all over the place, but then they got dumped on the floor. Tiny little sharp pieces of glass. That's really awful. Yeah, the last decal set, see, this was different this time. The last decal set, all of those pieces came off separately. This time they stayed together as one set. And so, except for these 4 bits here, right at the back, this whole thing was one decal. I trimmed it really close to the edges, but it went on and I got it into a place where it looks okay. And then I had to put these on separately just so that I could get them spaced out, because if I kept them the way they were, they would have they wouldn't have set very well. So as it is, they look okay. The other side, these are the decals for the other side. Okay. And the same thing is going to happen here, is that these guys, the Enco Tiger and the Enco sign, I'm going to take those off and put them on separately. I don't know why that is way over there. That's a weird thing. This is the right side of the car. This is the left. This is the right side of the car. And to show you, this is a picture of the real car. These here are accurate, but on this side, on the front, these two are in the right place. But this is supposed to be here. The perfect circle is supposed to be there. And this round one isn't there at all. And then whatever this is missing. So these sponsorship decals, like I said, this whole thing on the back, you can see it. No, you can't. There. I'm going to start over because I was totally off camera. That was just, thank you. My producer and camera guys, they're not good. Okay. So this is the right side, and this is one decal. And here, this is a little crowded. This is supposed to be back a little bit further, but they're pretty much in the right place. Okay. But they should be, and the thing is, the way these are printed, I can't trim that off and move them. So they're just going to be, instead of having this little gap here, they're going to be practically on top of the 82. On the front, this one and this one, these two sponsorship decals are correct. This is supposed to be here. This yellow one is supposed to be where the red one is, and the perfect circle is supposed to be up here where this other circle is. And that other circle isn't there at all. And I don't know what this is at all. It's not this. But what I should do, okay, is I should cut these off. Okay, what I should do is I should cut these off here like that. Put this on, this whole thing, without the Enco, okay, because that'll go on later. Put this all on. What I actually should do is cut this off here, right in between, and these, and move them all over. But they're printed on top of each other. There's, and if I cut into either of these, either the 82 or the shield, if I cut into them, they would show. Now, I think what the issue is here, okay, is I'm just talking. Hi, Who. I will do a flip. I'm going to finish wasting time on this. I think these are crowded in here because see this little silvery rectangle thing here? That is an electronic ignition that needs to be attached to the other side of the model, just below the windshield. Okay, just below the windshield. And I think what happened here is that it goes here, and it crowds these in. It makes these crowded. So I'm actually tempted, fixing this, I just can't. There's just no way I can fix that. I would have to have like the most incredibly precise cut right here between the shield and the 82. And that's not going to be happening. But what I can do is I can cut these off here, these three, okay? And I can put them more accurately. I can move this next to the flamey thing, whatever that is, and I can put the perfect circle up here, switch those between them, and then make a decision what to do with these two. Because in the picture, it's win, and there isn't a win. So after I put this here and this there, this is where the suspension comes in. We'll see how that fits. I'll probably add these in. I'll probably put them in here somewhere, like in this area here. We'll see how it fits compared to the suspension part that's here. So these decal sets have really been pretty good, but this is printed way too close. I wonder, this is the old one. And the 82 is kind of, no, this isn't anywhere close to being accurate. Okay. It actually isn't. But I think I am going to take the time, because I can cut these without hurting anything, and it'll look better anyway, to take these off and attach them separately so that they're in this order. and then make a decision about what to do with those two decals, depending on how the rest of this looks. And then the Enco is done wrong anyway. The Enco needs to be on the left side of the Tiger, not the right side. And I'll have to fiddle around and try to get those on somehow. The old decal set, the one that was made in 2003, had the Enco oval like on top of the Tiger. It's not here. It's very, very close, but not on top of. But and it's smaller. But yeah, so when I get to the other side of the car, the right side, I'm going to attach this first because I have to work around it. And then, just like this, I'll cut out really close to all of this, including the yellow stripe thing. Apply this decal. Keep these separate and then put them on individually later. Keep trying to keep the stripes straight. Okay, so that's the plan for Monday. So I'm not going to work on that until then. But this side of the car is done, and it'll look okay. And it looks okay. There's a little wrinkle in the decal there. Push that out, I guess. There's sponsorship decals. They look like decals. I can get the roll bar in under the Enco. I can get the suspension in under the yellow line. I can reattach it by sticking it back in the hole where it belongs. These are repositioned. Okay, it came out okay. Today actually went much better than I expected. The really pleasant surprise is that this time, this was in fact one giant decal. And other than a couple here in the back, these 4 that I positioned independently of the rest of them, it went down as one piece, and I was able to get the lines straight. But the last time, each of these little bits fell off separately. It was just a disaster. This time they were a single decal, and hopefully the same will be true of the other side of the car when I stick the decals on there. But these have to set, like I was saying, if I tried to do the right side of the car, what will happen is I will touch those and break them and disasterate what I've accomplished today. That's a real word for me, disasterate. Thank you. I really appreciate the compliment. The modifications I've had to make to this model, not just in terms of paint, like on the exhaust here and the interior and the striping, but also the modification I needed to do on the seat, especially the seat, to make it look historically accurate. It was pretty significant. But after I get the other decal on, then I've got the roll bar, the covers, the air intake covers, the suspension bits for the back, which will be fiddly to put on, and then eventually the tires. These actually came out okay. I need to do a little bit of work on them yet, but the lettering, the Firestone lettering, is embossed, and I found a way to get it white so you could see the Firestone on it. And then I need to do the same thing to the Firestone on the back of the tire. I haven't done that yet, but I was practicing on the front. And then there's a yellow circle around it, which kind of shows up here. You can kind of see it. I found chalk. I was actually able to use chalk to get it ever so slightly yellow. So, this is, I need to do a flip for who. Oh, yeah. Let me get those back. Let me do a flip for who, and then I will bring the Star Trek figures out. I'm not going to bring the whole model out, but just the figures. So I'm going to put this back in the box because when I do the flip, I don't want to smash into it. I'm going to use this very light little piece of balsa wood here. There's dot and no dot. Great. Dot. 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 No dot. 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 Okay. 4 dots and 2 no dots. That's the flip doover. Okay, I'm going to, wow, I got wet paper towels all over the place here. I'm going to go get the Star Trek figures. I'm not going to bring the whole model out. I did that at the beginning of the stream, and it's big and clumsy, and I don't have space for it now. But I can bring the figures out. Do an unveiling here. Yeah. Keep them hidden. So I promised everybody who cared that, since the model was kind of doofus, it's really not a very well-made model, that why not? I'm going to do the evil. Oh, thanks. I would do the evil version of the characters. So I did. And here we go. I'll start with Sulu. Sulu, in the Star Trek episode where they met the parallel universe of the bad versions of themselves, who could tell the difference, right? Sulu had scars. So it was hard to paint scars. So I have some very exaggerated scarring on his face. I used gray paint so it would show. And the other way you can tell that they're evil is that instead of white squigglies on their bands and their badges, they have red. So they have the red squigglies, and the badges are outlined in red, and that's Sulu scarred. Spock, you could tell Spock was evil because he had an evil goatee, and there he is. Staring eyes, beady staring eyes with a Vulcan goatee, I guess. So, and again, the red stripes and the red badges. So I think the Spock figure actually came out pretty well. Nice, swoopy eyebrows. It was hard to get the goatee exactly right because he has these creases. The model has creases in his face. And I just used the creases as a guide. So the captain figure is not modeled after Kirk. I don't know what happened. I speculated that William Shatner didn't let his image be used for the model or something, or they just couldn't get it right. So the captain figure doesn't look like Kirk. And in the alternate universe, he didn't have facial hair, that I recall. But in this universe, since it's not Kirk, I had to do something. So what could I do to make the captain figure look evil? Well, he got an evil beard. You can tell. There's two parts about this that are definitely make, well, the red bit, but see the mustache doesn't cover the middle of his nose here. It's just these little side mustaches that flow into his beard. So it's definitely an evil thing, just these little side mustaches, and then the beard I made curl up and over. I mean, an evil beard would kind of come up and do that, wouldn't it? It would come up and kind of curl like that. So this is the Notkirk. This is the Notkirk evil version with a mwahaha beard, and he's looking down at his control panels. So these are the evil Star Trek figures that go with the model. The model was, very poorly made. I think the heads actually were sculpted and molded totally independently of the bodies. Okay, because they came. Thank you. Yeah, they just came separately, and they were hyper detailed in not a good way. Okay, just not a good way at all. And they don't fit the bodies very well. Like Sulu's head is definitely way too big for the body, and so is Spock's. And the Notkirk head is definitely too small for the body, which was made extremely broad. I think extremely broad so that it kind of, but didn't quite fit in the chair, which is way too wide. And then the bodies themselves, the heads were molded, as a single thing. And they had seams down the sides that had to be sanded off, but the bodies were molded front and back, and so they have no width. Okay, and they had these nice big seams where the front and the back came together. And the Notkirk's shoulders, the arms had big gaps between the arms and the shoulders, and I fiddled around a little and filled them in and sanded them down. I think they came out okay, but because they weren't serious. They just really weren't seriously constructed or molded. It was like, why not? Why not make them the evil bit? And so there they are. This is the alternate universe Enterprise Command Bridge crew. The bridge crew. And I think they came out okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave them here rather than trying to put them back. I'll just leave them out. Yeah. So the car. Bits of the car. This rectangular bit here. That's what it looks like chrome. That's the back of it. This is how it should look. This is the front of it. This is the electronic ignition, and that has to go onto the car on the other side of it, back here behind the windshield, which gets it very much in the way of the Enco Tiger and the rest of the sponsorship decals. You could see here, it's going to fit back here. And then there's no place to put these guys. I'm not sure how I'm going to get them on once this is put in place, because that's where these need to go. So I'm going to have to fiddle around with that, but it has to be attached because it's a real part of the car. No matter how much detail they got wrong on the car, and a lot of the detail is wrong, they did include that. They did include the little electronic ignition bit that needs to be attached before these decals go on. So on Monday, after the left side decals have set well enough so that I don't have to worry about peeling them off by accidentally touching them, I'm going to turn the car over on its left side so the right side is showing. This side, attach that, get the Lotus powered by Ford and the 82, and most of these decals, not these bits, but most of these decals attached. Okay. And then get these decals separately attached, and then figure out what to do with the Enco Tiger somehow. Given that they didn't leave a place for it, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It'll be an interesting challenge, but it has to go there because this is their primary sponsor. It shows up. It's the only one that shows up consistently. What's going on? A sound I hadn't heard before. Or, yeah, really, there's some sort of sound going on in the background that you can't hear because it's filtered out. It sounds like it shouldn't be there. Right back. I have to see if I can locate it. Sound that you couldn't hear, that I could hear, that was disturbing because it's just a very odd sound that shouldn't be there, is the humidifier on the furnace. And it's a plastic case. And there's a little fan in it, and the little fan is turning, and it's making the case vibrate. All I did was I touched it, and it made the sound go away, and then it came back again. But that's what that was. The thing that was making the odd sound was the humidifier, plastic vibrating against plastic. Yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about what I'm going to be doing on the car, just to talk about what needs to be done, because there's still a fair amount of work to be done on it. And then I'll probably wrap up. I don't think I'll be able to use up the whole time, but I'll wrap up a little bit early. I want to bring these guys back, but now I'm just going to go back to this for the time being. Okay. I got the sponsorship decals and the number and things on the left side of the car today. That worked okay. And it took, a little bit of maneuvering, but it went way better than I thought it would because it is a single decal instead of all individual decals. The other side will be a little more challenging because things don't fit as well there. So I'll have to see how that will go. But for the most part, on the right side of the car, it will just be a single decal with this Lotus powered by Ford yellow stripe and the 82 and the sponsorship decal scattered about it. And once that's on, that'll have to sit. Hopefully I'll get that done Monday. And then I want to not mess with it. I'm going to want to not mess with it until Wednesday, because touching a wet decal before it's set can lead to problems. It'll be really, really tempting to do things like install the roll bar. Okay, it'd be really tempting to do that. But if the roll bar slips, okay, it'll get under one of the decals and peel it off. These, I might be able to attach these. These are the air intakes that go over these velocity tubes. I might be able to do that. I won't be able to attach the suspension parts because they also go into or under one of the decals. So on Monday, what I'll be doing first is attaching this rectangle thing here, the electronic ignition bit, to the side of the car. Okay. I'll be using contact cement and just sticking it on. These are the side view mirrors, by the way. Those will go on like last or near the end. So this will get attached just so I know how I can work around it. Then I will put the sponsorship decals on the right-hand side of the car. Okay. And that'll take a little while because I'm going to be using, there's about 5 of them that I'm going to be putting on individually as opposed to just as one piece, just because of the way they fit, or the way they don't fit, actually. And so, yeah, the other side of the car will get cluttered up like this side with sponsors. So that'll take, most of Monday getting that done. And then while I'm waiting for those to set for Wednesday to happen, okay, I'm going to go back to the tires and touch up the Firestone logos on the back side of the tires. Okay, these are the front sides, but the logo also shows on the back because it's an open wheel car, and I haven't done those yet, so I'm going to do that. And that's kind of a fiddly thing. It's a chalk pencil, and in case of the yellow lines around the outside, it is literally chalk. So that I'm going to do that, and then I'll probably try to stand them up so it doesn't rub off. So if the decals go well on Monday on the right side of the car, okay, if that goes well, on Wednesday, I'll be attaching the scoops, the roll bar, the suspension parts on the back. They go from here to here, forming like triangles from there to there. And then putting on the wheels. And once the wheels are on, then the knockoff hubs go on top of them. And then this will be finished. I think there is a chance that if it goes okay, like if the right side decals go okay, and the assembly of the little fiddly bits on Wednesday, like the side view mirrors and the air intakes and things and so on, go okay on Wednesday. If the decals go on Monday, yay. If the assembly goes okay on Wednesday, yay. And I've got Friday yet. Next week, there is actually a chance that this model will be finished next week. Not going to promise because, as you know, these things sometimes do not happen. But there is, just looking at what needs to be done and how the decals went today, there's an okay chance that I'll finish this next week, and then I'll be able to move on to the next project. I'm going to close this, try to protect it, bring back the evil Star Trek figures so that you can all see those. Oh yeah, and there's Silver Guy. Okay, this is actually the driver figure that came with the kit, which tells you just how crappy the kit was. I mean, look at the realistic legs and feet, and the realistic chromed body that came with the model. Yeah, back here you can see the problem. One of the problems with chroming parts Okay. If you can kind of see it, is it comes off the sprue, the tree, and then so you end up with a spot like this where it was attached and there isn't any chrome. And that happens with chrome parts. Like if you were building a model car or something, the bumpers will have a little spot with a flaw. Yep, this is the decal set I'll be working with on. This is the incorrect. This is the old one from this place. This is the extra set. I bought 2 sets. I splurged like $5 or something to get 2 sets in case it was a disaster, which it turned out not to be, thankfully. This is nothing, but this is the one I'll be working with on Monday. Put that in there. Put this in here. Set that aside. I'm going to leave Chrome Guy. He seems to fit. Kind of fit the. I should stick him in the captain's seat. Stick him in the captain's seat on the Star Trek bridge. That would be. I wonder how it would fit. It might. I'm going to try it. On Monday, I'm going to put this on and see how it fits. That would be like really kind of funny. The Enterprise being taken over by a molten mercury liquid figure of some sort. It would be kind of hilarious. So there's the evil crew. Bearded Not Kirk, goateed Spock, and scarred Sulu. Ho-Chi, thanks for joining. Aman, thanks for joining in. I want to wrap up a little early because there's really much more I can do today. Waiting for those decals to set. But I'll be back on Monday, installing the decals on the right side of the car. I did today the left side of the car, yeah. Thanks, camera guy. I did the left side of the car. That's Jim Clark driving it, so you could tell it was real. Okay. And this is going to be the right side of the car. This is what I'll be putting on Monday. And once these are on, then they'll set. And then Wednesday, I'll put like the roll bar and the side view mirrors and the rear suspension bits, these bits here, and maybe even the wheels. We'll see how that goes. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. I hope you enjoyed watching me not have a disaster with the decals today. That was just a hugely pleasant surprise. And I'm hoping for another pleasant surprise on Monday with decals on the other side. Find out how that goes then. Those of you who have a weekend, have a good weekend. Those of you who have to work over the weekend, thank you so much for doing that. I hope you have some days off then instead. And I'll be back next week at more or less 10 o'clock on Monday to come yet closer to completing the Lotus Ford. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you what's going to be next. Because there's going to be next. If I finish it next week or shortly thereafter, hopefully next week, among the dozens and dozens of models that I have to choose from, I've got a U-505 submarine that was captured from the Germans in World War II. I've got a Catalina. I've got a Pogo. I've got an Atlas Mercury model. I've got a Shelby GT350. That one is tempting to build. I might do that after this one. I've got a B-29, a cutaway B-29 that shows the interior, a gigantic V2, several Star Trek, including an illuminated Deep Space Nine. As you can tell, I thought when I retired, I would have way too much time on my hands and I'd have to fill it by building models. And I ended up not building any models really until the stream started. But what I'm going to build next is an X15. Okay. And when I was growing up, the X-15 was just stunning. It was going into space, the rocket plane that went into space. And I built several models of the X-15, not well. Okay, they were poorly made. One was even a very, very tiny scale, like a 1/44th scale or something, 1/44 of a B-52 with the X-15 dangling from the wing, because it was lifted up to like 35, 40,000 feet on a B-52 and then dropped and the rocket engines took off. I got to touch one of these at the Museum of the Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. They had one, and you could get up on a ladder and look into the cockpit, which was a horrible place. It was tiny and cramped and dark and filled with switches that were just, unintelligible and primitive instruments, because this thing flew in the early 60s. There were no LED display screens or anything like that. But yeah, so most of the models of this X-15 are 1/72nd scale, and I like to work in 1/48th. I just do. So I was able to find a 1/48th scale X-15 that was made in, of all places, the Czech Republic. I didn't know that there were models being made in the Czech Republic. I mean, there it is. Injection molded kit in Czech. A limited edition, 1/48th scale. So still in its original shrink wrap. I wonder, look at that. It's going to contain a highly detailed cast pilot figure and it's got a space suit and its cooling unit. I hope it's better made than these were. We'll find out. It's in the shrink wrap. I should look on eBay to see if there's any of these for sale and how much it's worth. So since I'm wasting a little bit of time right here at the end, when I decided to build the Star Trek command deck, my alternative was a model of an imaginary plane called the Aurora, which was a Mach 7 kind of thing that was rumored to exist like in the 70s and 80s, I think, maybe the 80s and 90s. And I bought one of those a while ago, and I thought that would be fun. It had hardly any parts, maybe like 6 parts that needed to be glued together, and the seams filled and sanded up, and then just painted black. That would have been really easy to make. And I thought, well, after working on this, the Lotus Ford, and before that, the Savoia, which were kind of, they were kind of intense for me building them to the right quality. I wanted something that was a little more fun and easy. And so it was either that, the Star Trek, or this Aurora. And I looked on eBay just, to see what value I was destroying. And the stupid little Aurora model was selling for $95, which is way more than I paid for it. I don't think I paid more than maybe $15. So it was, I don't know. And then the Star Trek, I thought that would be kind of rare, but there were maybe 30 of them on eBay selling for probably less than the thing sold for originally. And I thought, well, okay, I'm not destroying any value there. So the Aurora model is going up on eBay, not made by the Aurora Model Company, but the model of the Aurora, made by Sci-Fi Models, because it wasn't a real plane. I probably should look to see how much value I would destroy by opening the original shrink wrap on this. I did destroy a fair amount of value. Where did I put it? Here. This model was in the original shrink wrap before I built it. And it was worth $50. And it was, oh my God. Again, I probably paid like $12 for it or something. It was an original shrink wrap, and it was selling for $50. And it was, do I build a nostalgia kind of car? Do I build a nostalgia car? Because I built one of these when it, not this kit, but the original kit when it came out in like 1966. Okay. And it was, oh, geez, I don't know. But then I decided, yeah, for reasons of nostalgia, because like I said, I built the original of this kit. This was a repro of an original kit that came out in the mid 60s, right after the 65 race. This was a 1970s reissue, I think. This kit is recommended for advanced modelers only. It says that. I should have read that before I started it. I really should have. But I didn't. And yeah, and so it was okay. I did, and I got the X-Acto knife out and slit the shrink wrap, and it was there goes $50, poof, just like that. But I think it's coming out okay, especially with the modifications I made so that it looks more like the 65 car than the 64 car, which apparently this model is. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that. And the reason I was talking about that is because I almost destroyed $95 worth of value by building the fictional Aurora. And even though I really like this plane and I think it'll be fun to build, and probably not, it doesn't look like it's too difficult to paint. It's just black with a flat coat, clear coat. After the decals I put on, I'm going to put a flat clear coat over the whole thing. Yeah, I probably should find out if it's more than about $45 or something, if one even exists anymore. I don't know. I might have to build something like the Shelby GT350 instead. So there, that used up some time. Now I really can sign off because I used up my time. But I plan to finish. I plan to finish the modified version of this car next week. I hope I can do that. It's getting really, really close to being done. And I know now from the Savoia and the Submarine and the Apollo and the Star Trek Command Bridge that I actually can finish models because they are finished. This one will be finished too. But here, I'm going to sign off. Everybody having one last chance to look at the evil bridge crew of the USS Enterprise Command Bridge. See you all on Monday. Thanks for dropping in. I hope you enjoyed watching the decals go on and me being pleasantly surprised that it worked. And be back on Monday, hopefully with more pleasant surprises. We'll see. Bye.